This is Rob Pirie with the Coffee Runs Deep podcast, where we interview coffee farmers, coffee roasters, and we share their stories. I truly hope you enjoy the experience. Welcome to the Coffee Runs Deep podcast. I'm your host, Rob Pirie, and we have a very special guest on today, Mr. Ben Hermann with Native Roots Coffee. Let's start off by telling us about Native Roots and just introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like Rob said, my name is Ben Hermann. From the Quad Cities in the Midwest, but I kind of got introduced to Native Root Coffee about a year ago. I went to college at Luther College with the founder, Ervin. He actually came into my entrepreneurship class with investors to speak about his coffee company and obviously kind of the investors' companies and, you know, their investments, et cetera. But I remember his story just kind of blew my mind, just talking about the different types of coffee and how a lot of the big coffee companies, the differences between more the specialty versus the bigger roasters, essentially, just because a lot of the bigger roasters will kind of burn a lot of the roast just to keep it consistent throughout, you know, all their stores or whatever. And so a year ago, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, Ervin, me and my partners were doing like a marketing company, marketing, branding, and strategy. I was like, hey, dude, I'd love to come down to Colombia, check out all the farms. Me and my partners love to travel. So basically we reached out, it's like, hey, we'll take some videos of the farms, your stuff, and we'll help you do a lot of marketing down in Colombia if you just show us around. And basically he brought us on and offered us part of the company just to help him grow throughout the United States and Canada. So that's kind of how I got involved. And basically what we do is we partner directly with Naza Native farmers down in Colombia. So we partner with a lot of the farmers in the Togoyma reservation and the Palamu reservation. I might be mispronouncing that a little bit, so don't quote me on those pronunciations. But what's really unique is basically we partner them directly and it allows us to actually pay them at least 10% more compared to market value. So if it like the market value is like $2.50 per pound, we'll do 10% above that always. And so we won't lock farmers into contracts ever. So they're always getting high or top dollar essentially for their coffee. And what's cool is like, since we can partner with them directly and obviously we pay them a lot more, we can tell you who picks your beans. So like on our bags, we have QR codes that go to their stories on our website. So you can learn about who's harvesting your coffee, about their farm in the region. So just honestly, we're just all about honoring the farmers, and Ervin's a third generation Naza Native farmer himself. So it's kind of the reason we're able to make a lot of these connections and kind of work with all these native farmers essentially.
Heck yeah, dude, that's cool. So as far as like getting the coffee from the farmers down there, do y'all import it yourselves, or do you have like an actual import company that does it, or how do y'all get it up, or do y'all roast down there?
So we roast down there as well. So everything's basically done in-house, besides, I guess, technically the roasting. But we have our own farm in the Togoyma Reservation, which is basically Ervin's parents' and sisters' farm as well. And they do actually a lot of the relationships between the other farmers. So they speak the Naza Native language. I definitely do not, so that would not go too well for me. But they make the relationships. And then our CEO, Alcides, he actually brings it to Bogota, and we have it roasted by Mario, and he does Passion del Barista. It's just insane of how passionate and how much of an art form he looks at coffee. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool, dude. So the coffee that you sent me, was that from down in Mexico then? I mean,
Yep.
Down in Colombia?
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's one of the anaerobic process. Do y'all do that on Ervin's farm or the?
Yeah. Yep, we do all the anaerobic fermentation and stuff right on the farm.
So then, as far as like Ervin, what's his role?
Yeah, so he handles.
Does he roast too? I guess is what I'm saying. Does he roast?
He's done a little bit, but honestly, we just have Mario do basically all of it, just because he actually won the South American roasting competition about it was 3 months ago now, I think. So he's just ridiculously good, and it's gonna kind of leave him to keep doing that.
Yeah,
he does a pretty dang good job.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Huh?
Yep, absolutely. But Ervin handles a lot of the distribution processes throughout our customers in Colombia, as well as kind of getting all the coffee up to us in the States.
Gotcha. So then, as far as like your role,
what do y'all do up here then? Mostly the marketing and kind of
Yeah. So we do a lot of the marketing, this sales, et cetera, creating a lot of the contacts and partnerships. So I'm pretty pumped. We just partnered up with a brewery, and I'm getting them coffee tomorrow to make up I think it's going to be a brown ale with the bourbon coffee, and it's going to be pretty tasty, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So doing stuff like that. Then we set up like a fulfillment center. So all of our online orders basically get fulfilled through the fulfillment center, so we can ship it directly from Colombia, and it gets to the customers pretty quick, which is pretty nice. So just kind of set up a lot of the distribution process, the marketing, the sales. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I noticed y'all, like, from your Instagram and stuff, y'all go down there a good bit, or is that one of your first trips kind of going down? I know.
Yeah, that was one of our first trips. Yeah. So that was one
Okay.
of our first trips going down there. So we were there for about like 3 weeks, but it'll end up being about a yearly thing. At least once a year, we'll be going down there.
Oh, that's cool. So is this your full-time job now, or do you do something
Yep.
else? Oh, really?
Yep. So I do this full time, 24/7.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's pretty cool then. So you can go down there really kind of for as long as you need then.
Yeah, definitely. And Mario, actually, he wants me to come down for a month and live with him, so he can teach me Spanish. So definitely I'm gonna have to take him up on that and just kind of live with the roasting master for a month.
Dude, that would honestly probably be a really cool experience.
Oh my God, yeah.
Are you gonna try to learn how to roast and stuff when you go down there?
Yeah, so we did do some roasting last time when we were down there with him. He was like kind of freaking us out, my partner Braden and I, because we did like one roast with him before, and then so he had us like roast like a medium light or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but then he's like, "All right, just for you two." He had this super specialty coffee. It goes for like I think $30 or $40 a kilo green. And he was the only one in Colombia to have it. And it's just like due to like climate, soil, a whole bunch of different factors, right? It's literally the last time this coffee will ever taste like this or smell like it too. Like he was literally grabbing it and just almost crying, smelling the coffee. And he already had a buyer that bought all of it. And he had Braden and I roast it with him. And we're just like, just hoping to God we don't screw up this coffee, because it's not like I have that much knowledge or experience in roasting. And then Mario's saying all the tips in Spanish, and I don't speak too much Spanish, so it was pretty funny, but it turned out super well. I think Braden's turned out a little bit better than mine. I think he got he only lost 16.5% in water weight of the roast, so that's pretty good, because on average it's like 20 to 21%. Then I hit 18%, so we did pretty good. But the nerves were definitely flying during that.
Yeah, roasting can be stressful, dude. If you have some expensive coffee, it's like, and you mess it up, like
I
that could be
know.
a lot of money you're pouring down the drain.
Yep.
Or,
I mean, that was a
just giving
couple
away to people.
grand.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. That's pretty cool though. Was it Colombian coffee then down there?
Yep. Yeah. So it was a varietal, like a geisha. It was a type of geisha that we were roasting.
Okay. So I imagine some roaster probably done bought the whole lot then, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it was somebody in the States. I have no idea who did it, but somebody bought all the roasted coffee from the States. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So Mario, is that all he does down there, is just basically roast, or?
So he does. So obviously the roasting, he has a little coffee shop as well, but his big thing is kind of schooling and education. So he loves to bring on people and teach them how to roast. So he's huge into the education side of the coffee business, essentially. So hopefully we're even trying to set up something with him, maybe that we can set up like teaching throughout the United States, just to kind of help him expand with that. That was something that kind of we spoke to him about that would be super cool. And just was really interesting to see him just really, I don't know, like obviously he was super passionate about coffee, but he was even more passionate about bringing coffee to other people, essentially, like teaching them what he knows about the crop. So it was pretty cool to see that.
That's pretty cool. Does he speak English or anything, or just Spanish?
Super little.
A little
I
bit.
probably, yeah, I speak very little Spanish, and I probably speak more Spanish than he does English.
Yeah, I've actually been wanting to learn just because of like I want to go down there. I'd love to visit too, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like but before I go to like, Colombia or anything like that, I would like to know Spanish or anything just so I kind of know what's going on and stuff like that. Or you'd have to go with somebody like Ervin or something like that.
Oh my
But
gosh.
how
It's
was your
tough.
experience down there? Like, I mean, is it pretty safe and everything? And like, I
Oh,
mean,
dude, it was awesome. So for me, like, I love to travel, and so going to South America was definitely a top spot on my bucket list. But yeah, I mean, Colombia is totally safe. It's just really like any country, even the United States, especially like in bigger cities, just
oh yeah.
really
There's
use common sense, you
yeah,
know?
there's places in the States I wouldn't go to.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, in Bogota, it's really one of the scary thing is the driving. I did not drive. I would never want to drive in Bogota just because it's like Ervin recommends it. Don't really listen to anything you learned when you were a kid, when you're being taught how to drive in the States. It's more just follow the flow of traffic. I don't really know what that means. Um, and I mean, you see just like people aren't even in their lanes. Literally, they're just like driving in the middle of the road and everyone's following them with it. And then just a whole bunch of motorcycles cutting in and out constantly. They can constantly weave in and out, even if everyone's stopped. Then these monster mega buses are doing like the same thing. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm probably going to die. We were, we were in this one taxi. This dude seriously ran 4 red lights.
Jeez Louise, do they have like, did the police stop you for anything or
I have no idea.
not that time, huh?
No, not that time. It was so funny. I mean, it was later at night, so it wasn't like the roads are super busy, but we're just like, what the heck? What are you doing?
So what's the farmers and stuff like down there? Is it kind of like a country living lifestyle? Like everybody kind of growing their own crops and
Yeah,
vegetables and everything?
yeah.
Is it just coffee that they grow or do they grow like an assortment of stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, kind of grow a assortment of stuff, and some of the farmers, they're like maybe a nurse within the nearby town or something like that as well. One of our farmers owns like a butcher shop too, so it's not always just coffee farming they do. And they'll have a ton of fruits on the farm as well, just to use for their homes, etc., just for like lunch or dinner. And that's kind of what helps like bring a lot of the flavor notes to the coffee, right? Just because it's going to absorb some of those fruit flavors. So we'll like name a lot of our coffees after like red fruits or yellow fruits, just because a lot of it is stuff we've never tasted before. So if we put some of those fruit names under the bags, people would be like, zero idea what that means.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to go by that. But I mean, the farms, it's just ridiculously beautiful. Like everywhere you look, it's just super picturesque. And I mean, everybody that we met at least was super happy, super welcoming. I think that's partially just because of our relationship with Ervin and him being a Naza native. And so obviously we have a pretty trusted relationship with Ervin, and that kind of works its way to the farmers too. So I mean, we were welcomed into people's homes. They offered immediately some panela and some coffee. Panela is like basically a raw type of sugar in Colombia, and a lot of people use it as a sweetener for their coffee, which it was actually really, really good. But it was so cool. Like one of our farmers, Dilmer, we went to his farm, and afterwards, after we're about to leave, him and his wife were just saying how anytime we're down here, just know you guys always have a home here. And just hearing that, and like it wasn't like the only time basically the farmers told us that. So it was super surreal. And being in that environment of just in the Colombian Andes, and just a whole bunch, obviously coffee trees, you see the Payas River down below, a whole bunch of little kids running around playing games throughout the day, just doing their thing. And then you just see it's almost like, obviously it's not an easy life because no farming is, right? It's physically tough and mentally tough, but it's got a peacefulness to it. And it can be very kind of calming in a sense, just because of obviously all the environment you're seeing, but it's also makes it super tough to bring coffee to Bogota, just because it's not like real roads that we're used to in the States. It's dirt roads that have huge potholes. I mean, literally the day we got to the farms, it would have been a 15-minute drive up the mountainside, but it turned into an hour and a half because of a landslide cut off the road. And that wouldn't be fixed for who knows how long. So
So y'all had to find a different route, basically.
yeah. And that's like, that just happens because it's kind of interesting. The Tuguima reservation, the reservations aren't owned by the Colombian government. It's actually owned by the indigenous themselves. So it's not like anybody technically owns anything, right? There's no like contracts of like, hey, this is my deed to my house or whatever. It's just kind of your plot of land essentially. So it's does take slower times for some roads to get fixed, et cetera. Cause then they got to call the Colombian government, and the Colombian government would, send people down or whatever. So sometimes they'll just try to dig it out themselves, just cause it's gonna be a lot faster. But so that was pretty interesting, just kind of how things work down there with it not being really any government affiliated in a sense. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So as far as the Nasa natives, do they speak Spanish too, or do they speak like a native language?
Yeah, so they do speak Spanish, or most of them do at least. I'm not gonna say 100% because I might be, I might be wrong, but the majority of them do. But they do speak her Naza language. So it's Naza Yue is what they call it. So the language of the people. So most of them speak Naza Yue. I think it's the younger generation. It's gone down a little bit just with times changing, et cetera, being more introduced to other bigger cities, things like that. So I don't know if the language I don't think it's going away. Hopefully it doesn't, at least not yet. It doesn't seem like it, but that's something that's really important with being able to partner with these farmers, is introducing yourself within their language, and talking to them in the Naza language. So that's kind of the big thing we have with like Ervin's family. His dad and his mom and his sisters are able to do that and be able to talk to all these farmers in the Naza language and stuff, which is obviously super helpful and kind of gives a level of trust when we come down there as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So as far as like Ervin's farm, then what's it look like? Is it like shade? Is it like shade and stuff like that? Or is it like pretty high up in the mountains and stuff?
It's pretty high up in the mountains in the Andes. Oh dude, it's so cool. I'll have to send you some pictures, but literally it's like a miniature village of maybe like, I'm gonna guess like 10 homes. So Ervin's home is right on the mountainside, and then it's kind of like a flat piece of land where they have like a little soccer field, like a dinky soccer field, like easily can, kick it whatever opposite foot across. So you play like miniature soccer with all the kids and stuff. And it just like homes line this little soccer field essentially. And so Ervin's house is looking out towards the mountain valley and the Payas River. So you can see it from his like deck, but right behind his house is where all the coffee trees are. And it's so funny. Like, so I'm from the Midwest and they consider their farm flat, and it is a straight mountainside. Like, I was falling so much just to hike up this thing, and they consider it flat. And like Ervin's mom, Anna, she's just walking up this thing in flats. And I'm like, what? And I'm in hiking shoes and stuff. And I'm like, gosh, this is embarrassing. I need to work on this. But it's kind of something I've learned. It was their definition of flats, obviously very different than ours. And it's because there's some farms, literally it's so steep that they have lines going across the whole farm that you hook yourself up to. Otherwise you'd fall down the mountain. And
that's where the coffee's growing?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Like, this is the stuff they're hiking up every single day. It's incredible. I mean, it's a heck of a workout. Like, I mean, you're at an angle like this constantly while you're harvesting the cherries. So your legs are not, even, they're one or the other. So all of our farms are like fertilized with coffee pulp, so they're sustainable. So we don't use any like non-natural fertilizers, but it's super slippery. If you step on it, you're like definitely going down. And so you got to watch your step with the coffee pulp. Obviously, you can't hold on to the coffee trees because if you break it, that's money. So you can't like grab the coffee trees. And then you can't grab the bamboo trees because all those things have like a billion little prickle things on it, where if you grab it, you have like hundreds of little needles going into your hand.
Dang.
Or whatever. So everything basically is super sharp. You can't grab it. So if you fall, you're just going down. It's so cool though, because it's like immersed. There'll be some like orange trees, random oranges just hanging. So if you need a snack while you're picking coffee, you can climb up and go get some. Or there's like tree tomatoes. Never knew that existed. And those things are so dang good. Just right on the farm. So it's cool. You can just have these snacks of these different types of fruits just right there while you're harvesting coffee. And it almost feels like you're just immersed because they're all so close together. Like you'd be surprised how close the coffee trees are planted together just to kind of maximize space for the plot of land. And you just feel like you're in a jungle. Obviously, like the Colombian Andes isn't a jungle, but it feels like that thick of like a rainforest type thing of just you're surrounded. And yeah, it's cool. It's super, it's really surreal, I guess is the only way I can really describe it. And then just because you can still talk to like the other people, harvesting coffee with you. So it's almost like a community or communal event, but and everyone's laughing, especially if you fall. In Naza culture, if they make fun of you a lot, it means they like you. So they definitely liked me.
That's cool, man. That's got to be a pretty cool experience then. I'd love to get down there and do that one day.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's just a whole new world. And I mean, seeing coffee processing from basically when it's harvested to when it goes in your cup it's really something a lot of people have zero idea about. And especially obviously, I'm sure like the American consumer, we have really zero idea where our coffee comes from. Of most people have no idea it even is a fruit it starts as. So just seeing it being picked and then depulped, the fermentation, the deparchment, sorting it by hand to pick out any defects in the beans, it just really puts it all in perspective of how much goes into this crop or this cup of coffee that most of us have, every morning. So yeah, it really kind of opens your eyes up to this whole new world. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think I know for me personally, like I had no clue whenever I first started roasting and you start diving down like where it's coming from and this, that, and the other. And like you realize it was a little cherry-like plant, it's like, what, like coffee?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even make sense in the beginning. You're like, what the heck? How did I go all my life and not know that,
I know, same.
But it's like, I don't know. I feel like most of the farmers I speak to and stuff, and even hearing your experience with them, it's like, I just feel they're like wholesome country people, and like everybody just kind of, they look out for their family and like it's very family focused and stuff like that. And I think that's such a cool, I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like we're losing it up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's one of those things I respect a lot. Like I'd love to have that community, kind of like how they do down there, it seems. But that's super cool, dude. So kind of changing up a little bit, I was going through Instagram and I saw something about the connected cup and what y'all were kind of doing with that. What was y'all's kind of, did y'all just help sponsor some of that, or what was that about?
Yeah, great question. So the Connected Cup, it's a coffee documentary by Brooke Bierhaus. So she basically traveled to 9 different countries throughout the globe and just kind of really studied and created a documentary about what coffee truly is. And it's almost like it's another language, right? It's almost a language in itself. It's a connector between cultures when first thing that happened when I was in Colombia, like people welcomed me with a cup of coffee. when I was in Tanzania living with the Maasai tribe, they welcomed me with a cup of tea, very similar beverages. And it's something you see in a whole bunch of different cultures, and it's used to welcome people. It's used to have over like business meetings, dates, etc. So we heard about this documentary. We're like, dang, this is so cool. This is what we're about connecting people and showcasing that coffee is something more than just a beverage that we have every morning, and more than a beverage that just has caffeine in it. It's something that's a connector. It's something that's a conversation starter. And so we contacted Brooke, and we just figured out a way to kind of partner. So we ended up making a special coffee called the Connected Cup coffee. And so it's our own coffee essentially. And it's like a limited edition coffee where the QR code on the bag will take you to her documentary. So you can view her documentary straight from the bag of coffee. So you just take your phone, get the QR code out, click the link, and it'll start playing. But we wanted to kind of help her and expand some reach, and wanted to use our audience because she has it now in Spanish too. So our Colombian buyers as well can kind of see the Connected Cup and learn about her mission, etc. And it's cool is we're able to partner up with like Ethiopia and Kenya, a couple non-for-profits she supports through her own nonprofit with like some of the donations. We're like donating some of the proceeds of each bag sale of hers to Ethiopia to help fight the civil war efforts with education, clean drinking water, etc., as well as like each bag. I wish I had one in front of me, but it has a little necklace and a little pouch on each bag made by the Samburu women in Kenya. So basically that has a card under it as well that you can learn about where this necklace came from, who the Samburu women are. And if you want to donate, allows that opportunity as well. So you can donate to this community to help with kids get educated essentially too. So it was cool. It's like we had like Colombia, Kenya, and Ethiopia all coming together, all have a common connection over coffee, yet helping 3 different causes.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing too about coffee is like it's the whole globe. It seems like every country you go to, like there's some type of coffee culture there, even from New Orleans to Italy to India, like the whole, everywhere. So I think that's super cool. And yeah, actually I saw the documentary actually just came out 2 weeks ago. So I got that kind of in my queue to watch. I want to check it out. So that's cool. I see that y'all are pretty, I mean, when you go through your Instagram, it looks like y'all are kind of on an adventure. Like y'all are kind of all over the place and like traveling and doing cool stuff. Would y'all ever consider kind of doing a documentary style video on the NASA natives and stuff like that?
Oh, dude, I would absolutely love to. So, oh gosh, that would be so much fun.
Because that's kind of like that's what I want to do too. I would love to create like farmer documentaries and stuff. Like I'm trying to do it with the podcast, but it just ain't the same because you're not there in front of them, and it's like you can't really see the story and share the story unless you're down there. I feel like documenting and actually showing what it's like, So I love to be able to maybe do that one day, but it's one of them things like I want to get the coffee roastery and the coffee cafe going first, and then maybe I can start kind of focusing my energy in that direction. But I think that'd be so cool. It seems like it's a super cool people down there and everything. And I would love, I'm into that type of stuff. Like I'd love to see like a documentary, tailored around what y'all were doing and then wrapping it up with, y'all's coffee and Ervin and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely love to do that. And I mean, we took about like, I think 1,100 videos down in Colombia for the 3 weeks. So we're still like skimming through all the content and just kind of working through that. But we're definitely releasing some videos kind of the farmers, of the whole processing. We even created like kind of a workout WOD basically to just thank and honor the farmers for all that they do. So we took a 70 kilogram coffee bag, burlap bag of green coffee and created a workout with it of just exercises they'd essentially basically do on the farm. It was tough. It was just brutal. It was those burlap, all of my arms and my buddy's arms, we were so red and scratched up because that burlap just cuts you, and my neck was so scraped up from it. But I mean, yeah, we would just love to do a documentary. We were actually just kind of talking about something similar, probably just literally before this. about, we're trying to do a whole bunch of different trade shows or, coffee shows across the United States. And we're like, because me and my buddy were into CrossFit. So oh shoot, why am I going to forget their name right now? The Buttery Bros. They do a lot of, videos at all the CrossFit competitions, a lot of with the athletes, etc. So it'd be kind of cool to do a similar concept, maybe not as flashy, but similar. And like you kind of said, the adventures, talking to the farmers, doing these trade shows and kind of doing these different processing of coffee, which would be super cool. And just the hard part's the funding side of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's pretty easy. What I've found now, like with making videos, like, I mean, you don't really need like the best gear in the world now to make videos. I mean, they got some killer cameras that you can get. I mean, even iPhone 13s, like you can make some killer videos with that. And no, I would, dude, even offline, if y'all want to call me out, I would love to like give any advice I can or help in any way. I would love to, but just with kids and everything right now, I can't any work, I'd have to vacation wise. I can't really get away too long, but dude, that would be awesome. Yeah. The other thing too, I want to talk about was y'all's like packaging and design and stuff like that. Who does all that?
So that's my partner, Braden. So he's one of the co-owners. So he did basically all of that. All Ervin and I and stuff and Travis will give like some tips, but he's the main designer of all the marketing materials. I don't really do any of that just because I'm colorblind, so I would screw it all up.
Gotcha. Yeah, because y'all send out like the coolest little things, dude. Like just all the information and dude, even y'all's like boxes and packaging and everything's like branded. Man, that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Definitely appreciate it. I'll definitely tell Braden that you love it. He'll like that a lot. But
because a lot of times, like, the bag of coffee will just say, go see the website, but it's cool to actually pull out something and see like, the Elderstone, Ember River, like everything kind of, on a little pamphlet or something kind of showing what it is and everything like that. So I really like that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. We tried to connect basically everything we did some way back to the farms or the coffee. So like the Elderstone, that's actually, it literally just got ruined. Probably just before we went down to Colombia. So it was really not very far away from Ervin's parents' house on the cliff. It literally was
that the one that looks like a man?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
so
it got ruined?
Like either a landslide took that out or something. So that's kind of crazy that it literally just happened right before we got there. And so, I don't think it really exists anymore, unfortunately, which is kind of crazy, but we just we'll obviously keep that on our packaging and stuff just as a remembrance of that. And just because it was a big focal point in the area for a lot of the Naza indigenous too, which basically, we try to make sure everything kind of reflects something either about the coffee and the farms or has some deeper meaning. Even with like the logo, that was inspired by some of drawings and Naza culture as well too. There's a lot of diamond shapes, so we kind of took inspiration from that.
Gotcha. All right. What's as far as like y'all's goals and y'all's what do y'all kind of want to accomplish in the next, say 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so definitely by the end of next year, our big goal is to partner with over 100 Colombian farmers. So that's kind of our main goal, is basically move more and more coffee, essentially, just because the more and more coffee we move, the more farmers we can partner with, which means we can pay more farmers properly. So that's a big thing for us. And 3 to 5 years, our goal is to definitely be we're already selling throughout the United States, but on a bigger scale. And then kind of move into like the European market as well within that time frame.
That'd be cool. Heck yeah, dude. Do y'all do any with like Japan or Asia or anything much, or not really?
So we not really yet. We've had maybe one opportunity to, but it hasn't kind of worked out yet. We have like sold to like Australia, Canada, the UK, Italy, like Norway, etc. But so we're kind of working on trying to get something bigger with that going on. Probably Canada first, just because it's going to be the easiest to kind of work into. And we have a possible opportunity to hopefully start up like kind of a distribution area in Canada. So that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
To be able to do.
Heck yeah. There's a lot of Canadians that drink coffee too. So
Oh yeah.
heck yeah, dude. Well, dude, that's pretty much all my questions. Do you have anything you want to add or anything you want to bring to the
Um,
table?
I guess the biggest thing, I came from a spot where I didn't know anything about coffee. I guess kind of touching on what we were saying earlier of
Yeah. How
like,
long ago was that?
so I got into coffee, like I started drinking a lot of coffee in college. Me and my roommate Christian, we'd like go through a pot of coffee before 8 a.m. and have another one brewing. So I started getting into it a little bit more and more in college. We had some really nice coffee shops in the town I went to school at, but it probably wasn't until a year or two after college I started getting more and more into it and almost opened up a coffee shop where I'm from. Just kind of timing wise didn't work out. And then I kind of learned a little bit more into the different types of coffees, the varietals, etc., different brewing methods, and then really just super kind of dug in when I became a part of Native Root. Essentially, like make a ton of pour overs every day now, um, and really experiment with the different weights, proportions of it, and then just really looking into different varietals of the coffee. Like it blew my mind. I thought it was like, um, we're coffee countries, so like Colombia was like one type of coffee essentially, like a few years ago
Yeah, I
instead
thought the
of
same thing.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
thought it was just like all like kind of segmented to each country versus nope, definitely not true. There's like, so many different types of coffees within one country, and you can do so many different things. It's insane. And it just really blew my mind of how in depth you can get into coffee. And I mean, just we had even a day in Colombia where we had like baristas who compete for national or world championships and just make us pour overs and had like a wine tasting just with coffee all morning. It was pretty dang sweet. And just trying like rare forms of geisha, then trying coffee that's been fermented for 300 hours, which is insane. And like coffee with CBD in it and just a whole bunch of different stuff. And it's just like, holy cow. Like I took a moment like when I was doing that and I'm like, from where I was at with coffee of what I knew, I'm like, gosh, I've gotten bougie into this thing. And I don't know, just it's really opened my eyes about how in depth you can go with a beverage that we enjoy every single morning. And it has a lot bigger impact because there's people behind that cup of coffee, and the amount of people it takes, the amount of work and effort it takes is pretty incredible. I mean, just one of the toughest things we even did on the farm was, so like after we depulp the coffee and sort the coffee, so we take it in sorting machine, so it's only certain bean sizes, so basically the roast is even, just like with meat. If there's different meat sizes, it's not going to cook evenly, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with coffee beans. But we'd pour it out onto a white table and then hand sort through all of it just to knock out any of the defects in the coffee, whether a beetle chewed it or it didn't form properly. And that is like mind numbing and very monotonous of just looking through every single dang bean and just trying to distinguish any of the defects of it. And like you can just do that for hours and not even be done.
Yeah, that was the thing when I first started like realizing that was the process. I was like, how does this even work? Like how do we have that many people picking through that much coffee to, basically feed this many people with, it's just, I don't know, when you think about how much coffee is served and then you think, you go back
Mhm.
to where it all was picked and processed and, hand sorted. And it's like, it doesn't seem like there's enough people or time to do all that.
Mhm.
But I guess there is. So it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. That's one of the things it's hard to wrap your head around. So like, is that what they do all day whenever they're sorting through that coffee?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're either harvesting, they're doing the deparchment, fermentations, um, sorting, or then doing all the hand picking and then, getting their coffee essentially ready to be delivered to Bogota. And yeah, it's a lot of dang work. Granted, it's not as consistent as it may sound, just because there's like three main harvesting times throughout Colombia or throughout this region. There's like three big harvesting seasons, and then you can still harvest coffee in between those. Just it's not going to be as much, essentially, the amount of coffee that's going to be ripe. But it's incredible how much work it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've always. I would love to get down there and just see the process and just I don't know. I'd kind of like to like you got to do, just go through and kind of help out and just see if you can hang and fall
Yeah.
down fall down a few mountains. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's super cool, dude.
Yeah, it was a blast. I'm pumped to go again and hopefully learn a bit more Spanish before the next time I get down there.
Heck
Um,
yeah. Would
but
y'all ever expand outside of Colombia, or would y'all pretty much just going to try to keep it Colombia focused?
that's a great question. Probably at some point we'll expand out of Colombia. We'll probably talk more about that or figure more of that out once we hit the 100 farmer mark. That's been kind of Ervin's big goal since he started. So, kind of putting a time limit on it and making us hit it by the end of next year. And then we'll kind of figure it out from there. Um, but it's cool to see like just being down there of how many like the different sizes of farms too, which you could partner with thousands of farmers just basically in Colombia, really, just because not everyone has these monster, huge producing farmlands. So some people just have some small plots of land, but they still make really good coffee. And they just love to do it on the weekends or whatever. It's just a thing they like to do still. So it's cool to see like there's different types of like kind of farming or coffee farming too.
Yeah, I've kind of seen like you're the first one I've really spoken to in depth with it, but I feel like I've seen a few of the younger generation of coffee farmers down in South America, basically figuring out how to connect and expand into North America, United States, by being up here, maybe going to school or what have you. And like, do you feel that's not a trend, but something that's going to kind of continue? Because I know a couple other kind of people doing, kind of what y'all are doing. They done partnered up with people up here. They have the farm, they have like the knowledge, they have the coffee and stuff, but it's like now they can market it and sell it to kind of the United States audience up here, basically.
Yeah, I definitely kind of see more and more of that probably. And I kind of hope that happens just because I mean, with less people in the middle, you're going to see better pay, or at least you should with coffee. And I would assume that would allow for people. It's like basically and essentially if you pay anything less than like $15 a bag, it's someone is getting shortchanged or shorthanded. So it's like unethical. So I think you see a lot with the younger generation of being more like conscious with those things or into those things essentially. So I could see it being more of a frequent thing of people partnering directly with a lot of these coffee farmers. I know obviously Ervin went to college in the United States, and then his sisters did too. So they speak some English as well. And I mean, one of them, she studied, I think, biology, or I forget what she exactly studied, but it's even helped her bring that education back to the farm of different ways to experiment to help the soil produce better crops, essentially. So it's kind of cool. And I could definitely see that being more common. And I kind of hope it becomes more common just because of the whole pay factor. And
Yeah.
just to make sure these farmers are being, honored through essentially pay, because that's something they've been short-handed for a very, very long time.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool because like so Ervin, he lives down there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now? Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, owner of the company and y'all are the, all partners or whatever. And it's cool that, it's all kind of staying in y'all's system.
Yeah.
I like that. I want to kind of dive deeper into that and learn a little bit more about it. And I think that's super cool. I think it's a cool concept that kind of how y'all have it set up right now. It's one that you don't see too much of, but I have seen a few just because I'm kind of like diving into them and the different farmers and stuff down there. I think that's super cool. So, well, shoot, dude. That's pretty much all I got. If you have anything else, let me know, and if not, we'll go ahead and wrap it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's, I mean, I don't know. I could always keep talking about
Heck
coffee,
yeah,
but
dude. No, I'll try to keep it to a little hour or whatever. So
for sure.
no, I'll link everything in the comments below, and I'll link everything in the description. Y'all's Native Roots and everything, IG and all that. Go check out their IG. It's super cool. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's y'all have a lot of information on there as far as like what y'all doing, what y'all's plans are. I saw once you scroll further in, you see Ervin talking a good bit and stuff like that, and I think it's super cool. So definitely go check them out. And that's it, dude. Ben, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Well, thank you, Rob. Appreciate it for having us.
Have a good one, dude.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Coffee Runs Deep podcast. I had a blast talking with Ben, such a cool dude. You can go check out Native Root Coffee at nativerootcoffee.com. They have a professional website, and honestly, it's one of the better ones I've seen in the coffee industry, which is pretty cool. Their IG is Native Root Coffee. Go follow along. They share a lot of cool stuff. You can see Ervin on there and everything like that. Like always, thanks to the Patreon sponsors that help make this show possible. It means the world to me, and your help is pushing the podcast forward. Hit me up in the comments if you want to chat. Leave a review if you find these episodes beneficial, and I will see you next week. We are finally going weekly in 2022, so looking forward to that. Stay in touch, Ben, and go check out Native Root. The links will be below and in the show notes, and that's a wrap. Love you guys. I'm out.